Hello everyone, my name is Minaya and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about when to use the pronoun in Spanish and when to skip the pronoun. This is something actually really easy to understand and it's going to help you a lot to sound more natural when speaking in Spanish. But before starting, I want to tell you that I am teaching Spanish on one-on-one lessons, so if you want to take lessons with me and improve your grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and many aspects regarding to Spanish, just write me a message to my email that will be on the description of this video. And now let's get started with our video. The first thing you have to understand is that in Spanish the verb conjugation changes depending on the person, though actually some of them are the same for different pronouns, like in the case of él, ella, and usted, so it is he, she, and you formal, but compared to English, it's like in Spanish, each person has its own conjugation. And this is actually the essence of all of this. In Spanish, we don't need to use the pronoun all the time because it is already implicit on the verb conjugation. That's why many times, especially on daily conversations, we skip the pronoun a lot. Let's see an example of the Spanish verb caminar, to walk. You can see that the conjugation changes depending on the person, so some conjugations are the same for different pronouns, but there are persons that have unique conjugations. Now we are going to see some examples about different situations, and I'm going to explain to you what we understand in these situations if we use the pronoun and if we skip the pronoun. Our first example is about daily conversation. So imagine that you are talking with a friend about what did you do yesterday. Now if you are talking about what you did yesterday, for example, ayer fui a la escuela, después fui a jugar fútbol y en la noche comí pizza. Yesterday I went to school. After that I went to play football and I ate pizza at night. Here it's clear that we are talking about you and we are not mentioning other people, so there is no need to create contrast by using the pronoun. But more than that, you are the topic of the conversation, so using the pronoun is not necessary actually, because it is more important the actions that you did and not the fact that you did those actions. For the second example, let's say that you want to ask, how are you? In Spanish we almost always say, ¿cómo estás? Without the pronoun. And this is because we are usually talking to just one person, so there is no need to create contrast or avoid ambiguity. But in which situation we can say, ¿tú cómo estás? Using the pronoun. Imagine that you are meeting more than one person, so you ask the first person, ¿cómo estás? But then if you want to ask to the second person, you can say, ¿tú cómo estás? Or ¿y tú cómo estás? This helps you not sound too plain and sound more natural, because if you just ask ¿cómo estás? And then ¿cómo estás? To the next person, it might sound a bit plain. But by adding the pronoun and say ¿tú cómo estás? It sounds like you are now interested in that person, so it is like creating contrast. So it's like I first asked the first person, but now I want to know what about you. For the dear example, imagine that you went to a restaurant with your brother, and your friend asks you, ¿qué comieron? What did you eat? And your brother says, yo comí enchiladas. And you say, yo comí molletes. First, the question is, ¿qué comieron? Without the pronoun, because your friend is talking only to you two, so there is no need to create contrast. But you and your brother answer starting with yo, because the answer is creating contrast. Like, my brother ate this, but I ate this. Because if you two just answer, comí enchiladas, comí molletes, it sounds like the information is too plain, like if you were not in the mood to talk. So starting the answer with yo helps to create contrast and helps the information not sound so flat. For the fourth example, imagine that you are on someone's house and the host asks, who wants coffee? ¿Quién quiere café? Now I know that you can answer to this question by just saying yo, me, but let's see this example with the whole sentence to understand more these concepts. So if you say quiero café, it sounds like new or unrelated information, even if the question was already made, because the question wants to know who and not what. So if you say quiero café, sounds like the most important information is the fact that is coffee, the thing that you want, and not that is you who wants coffee. So if you say yo quiero café, sounds like I want coffee, not him, not her, but me. That's why in this case the best answer, apart from just saying yo, would be yo quiero café. For our fifth example, let's say that you don't understand something. So you have two options, saying no entiendo or saying yo no entiendo. So again, if you say no entiendo, sounds like the most important information is the fact of not understanding. But if you say yo no entiendo, sounds like the most important information is that it is you who don't understand. So it can even be understood as maybe others understand but I don't. And for our last example, as I mentioned before, some pronouns share the same conjugation. So in order to avoid ambiguity or confusion, we can add the pronoun to our sentence. So for example, the sentence llegó tarde, it can mean she was late, he was late, or you, formal, were late. So in order to avoid confusion, if the context is not clear, we can add the pronoun and say él llegó tarde, ella llegó tarde, or usted llegó tarde. And this way we have a better communication. And that's everything for today, my friends. I hope this video is extremely useful for you. Remember that if you have any question, you can ask me in the comments down below. And if you want to take lessons with me, just contact me through my email that will be in the description of this video. I wish you a marvelous day and see you in a next video. Bye bye.